So I'm back at y'all again, and as y'all can see, I'm reading out the butts in the Bible. And as y'all know, I like to bring out facts with proof. And I bought books. I sat back and did research on certain things that I'm bringing out right now. So I'm bringing out this book to y'all. As y'all can see, the ancient Egyptians was black. The daughter of Pharaoh actually rescued Moses from the river and claimed him as an Egyptian, even though he was a Hebrew. He was black, but the Egyptians was also black. So as you can see, Pharaoh's daughter was also black. Let's get to it. Let's read it. Pharaoh's daughter passed Moses off as being black. The Bible refers to the land of Africa founded by Noah's son by two names, the land of Ham and the Egypt. 350 years before Moses' birth in Africa, Egypt was a thriving civilization filled with descendants of Ham and Jacob's Jews. So when they basically saying Jacob's Jews, they mean in Israel, the 12 tribes of Israel. It's not really just Jews, because Jews is just one tribe, the tribe of Judah. Let's get to it though. The Egyptians who occupy Egypt today are actually Arabs who claim Shemitic heritage through Abraham and have no regard to Ham, the founders of ancient Egypt, and much less the black races. So the people that's in Egypt right now, when you go to Cairo, when you look at Egypt today, it's the Arabs. You see nothing but Arab-looking people when you look at Egypt today. They occupying the land right now. So that goes to show you that this word is true. Like, you know what I'm saying? The ancient Egyptians was actually black. The Hebrews and the ancient Egyptians was actually black. But the people that's occupying the land right now are the Arabs. And the Europeans that's helping out the Arabs when it comes to hiding this lie, hiding this truth of who the ancient Hebrews really are. You know what I'm saying? So they're the reason why we really don't know, why the world really don't know who the ancient Hebrews really are. You know what I'm saying? So the Arabs and the Europeans are working together. That goes to show you that Pharaoh's daughter immediately identified this abandoned babe as Hebrew because all Jewish males were circumcised. So all the real Israel, the 12 tribes, they all got circumcised. It was the law. That's how she knew it was a Hebrew. Because by looking at it, she wouldn't be able to really tell for real, because the Hebrews and the Egyptians were both black. You couldn't really tell the difference. The princess drew this Hebrew baby from the Nile and reared him in the palace of the mighty Pharaoh himself as one line for his throne. So Moses was raised up as an Egyptian, but he was really a Hebrew. And that's what we're breaking down today. The real Hebrews and the real Egyptians was both black people. So the world to come, when Jacob ruled and all the nations are serving Jacob, is going to be a black world. And it's going to be known who the real Hebrews are, who the real Egyptians are, and who the real Esau is. Because the real Esau is still black today. And the real Egyptians, and the real Hebrews. Everything is still black. But yeah, let's get to it.
In a land synonymous with ancient mysteries and timeless wonder, where the treasures of antiquity reveal glimpses of a glorious past. It is here, at the crossroads of biblical history and an extraordinary civilization, that one story still captivates the human imagination as perhaps no other ever told. It is the story and the mystery of the Exodus.
The Exodus story is very important for a number of reasons. It's a story of liberation from bondage. It's a story of victory over oppressors. It's a story of how one individual can make a tremendous difference.
I think it's right at the roots of our ethical system, if not our religious system.
The Exodus in Jewish tradition, it's that which defines Israel as a people. God brought them out, made them his own, entered into a covenant relationship with them on Mount Sinai.
The Exodus story has endured for more than 3,000 years, and the power of its message and imagery is undeniable. Yet, despite the religious and cultural significance of the Old Testament narrative, doubts about its authenticity have long existed.
Scholars generally have rejected the historicity of the Exodus account, and this is because of this lack of direct evidence outside the Bible that would substantiate these events.
And this is why you have, in scholarly circles, great skepticism about whether we can ever establish firmly a root of the Exodus, or even that there was an Exodus.
The skepticism of the archaeological community has triggered many questions about the biblical narrative. Did Israel's exodus from Egypt actually occur? If it did, then why has so little evidence been unearthed? Were the people and events described in the biblical account real, or nothing more than elaborate fiction? During the next hour, we will travel from the Nile Delta to the depths of the Red Sea to investigate these questions in the light of new evidence and discovery. On this journey, we will explore and test the biblical record. For if there's any historical truth to accounts of the Exodus, then some evidence of Moses and the children of Israel should still exist, even if it lies buried under water and sand. Join us now as we probe ancient mysteries to examine the Exodus story against the testimony of science, history, and archaeology.
Now these are the names of the children of Israel, which came into Egypt. Every man in his household came with Jacob: Reuben, Simeon, Levi, and Judah, Issachar, Zebulun, and Benjamin, Dan and Naphtali, Gad and Asher. And all the souls that came out of the loins of Jacob were 70 souls, for Joseph was in Egypt already. And Joseph died, and all his brethren, and all that generation. And the children of Israel were fruitful, and increased abundantly, and multiplied, and waxed exceeding mighty, and the land was filled with them. Now there arose up a new king over Egypt, which knew not Joseph. And he said unto his people, Behold, the people of the children of Israel are more and mightier than we. Come on, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply. And it come to pass, that when there falleth out any war, they join also unto our enemies, and fight against us, and so get them up out of the land. Therefore they did set over them taskmasters, to afflict them with their burdens, and they built for Pharaoh treasure cities, Pithom and Ramses. But the more they afflicted them, the more they multiplied and grew, and they were grieved because of the children of Israel. And the Egyptians made the children of Israel to serve with rigor, and they made their lives bitter with hard bondage in mortar and in brick and in all manner of service in the field. All their service wherein they made them serve was with rigor. And the king of Egypt spake to the Hebrew midwives, of which the name of the one was Shiphrah, and the name of the other Puah. And he said, When ye do the office of a midwife to the Hebrew women, and see them upon the stools, if it be a son, then ye shall kill him, but if it be a daughter, then she shall live. But the midwives feared God, and did not as the king of Egypt commanded them, but saved the men-children alive. And the king of Egypt called for the midwives, and said unto them, Why have ye done this thing, and have saved the men-children alive? And the midwives said unto Pharaoh, Because the Hebrew women are not as the Egyptian women, for they are lively, and are delivered ere the midwives come in unto them. Therefore God dealt well with the midwives, and the people multiplied, and waxed very mighty. And it came to pass, because the midwives feared God, that he made them houses. And Pharaoh charged all his people, saying, Every son that is born ye shall cast into the river, and every daughter ye shall save alive.
Alright, y'all, so I'm back, and I'm breaking down Prince of Egypt. They already know that the real Hebrews and the real Egyptians were what we would call a black people. Like, if you was to go to that side of the world where the real Egypt is located, you would see through the wall graphics and through the graphics that they craved with the images back then, with the rocks and stuff like that, you would see they had black features. That's the reason why they knocked the noses off the Sphinx and stuff like that, because they tried to hide the fact that the true Hebrews and the true Egyptians were black people. But like I said, Hollywood know the truth, and they put the truth inside their movies and animes and TV shows. So they already know that the true children of Israel and the true prophets of back then were black people. So when they was in ancient Egypt and you can barely tell the difference between the Hebrews and the ancient Egyptians, that's because they both were brown-skinned black people that looked like. So Moses was not an Egyptian, but he passed it as an Egyptian because he was also black. The Hebrews were also black people too in Egypt. So Egypt is in Africa. The land of Mizraim, the land of Egypt, all that, the land of Ham, that's in Africa. So when people say that the Egyptians and the holy people, the Hebrews, were a light-skinned people, how they portray in the movies today, they actually are lying. But like I said, Hollywood has to put the truth out, so they put the truth out in the movies and the animes and stuff like that, because they know most people are not paying attention to it. But today we're going to actually get into it and show you that Hollywood actually knows that the true Hebrews and Moses back then were black. So yeah, let's get to it. Black Moses, Black Pharaoh, they actually know. You know, the true biblical people, the true Hebrews were black people. You can't hide in ancient Egypt or past the Egyptians if you was white. So it works. Moses waking up realizing that he was really a Hebrew the whole time.
The Hebrews grew too numerous. They might have risen against us.
Father, tell me you didn't do this.
Moses, sometimes for the greater good, sacrifices must be made.
Sacrifices?
Oh, my son. They were only slaves.
When Moses was grown, that he went out unto his brethren, and looked on their burdens, and he spied an Egyptian smiting an Hebrew, one of his brethren. And he looked this way and that way. And when he saw that there was no man, he slew the Egyptian, and hid him in the sand. And when he went out the second day, behold, 2 men of the Hebrews strove together. And he said to him that did the wrong, Wherefore smitest thou thy fellow? And he said, Who made thee a prince and a judge over us? Intendest thou to kill me, as thou killedst the Egyptian? And Moses feared, and said, Surely this thing is known. Now when Pharaoh heard this thing, he sought to slay Moses. But Moses fled from the face of Pharaoh, and dwelt in the land of Midian, and he sat down by a well. Now the priest of Midian had 7 daughters, and they came and drew water, and filled the troughs to water their father's flock. And the shepherds came and drove them away. But Moses stood up and helped them, and watered their flock. And when they came to Reuel their father, he said, How is it that ye are come so soon today? And they said, An Egyptian delivered us out of the hand of the shepherds, and also drew water enough for us, and watered the flock.
Moses! Look, fate has turned our little misadventure into a great opportunity. I know Father will be so pleased with what you are.
Put your back into it! Faster!
And this is just the beginning. A gateway will open to an entire new city of white limestone, more dazzling than the sun. And here, a statue of Harvey, god of the
Hurry!
2 great column halls.
Stop it! Somebody's got to stop this!
There's nothing that we can do. Stop it. Stop! Stop it! Leave that man alone!
Moses!
Moses!
What's going on?
Moses!